Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Moments That Define Us. I'm your host, Irina Barnett. Today's episode is, I think, different from any episode I had in the past. I'm having a conversation with a mom who lost her son to gun violence. I have to tell you, when I was doing research for this podcast, it was, I don't want to say shocking because things happen so many times that we almost get used to it, but firearms are the leading cause of deaths for children and teens in the United States. As of September 19, 2025, there has been 308 mass shootings in the United States, and that's according to the Gun Violence Archive. As of September 10, there has been 47 school shootings, and that's of this year, and that's according to the reports done by Gun Violence Archive, Education Week, and Everytown for Gun Safety. I feel like every time shooting happens, any mass shooting happens, we get thoughts and prayers, and then after 2 days, it goes away. But the family who lost the loved ones, their life is changed forever. Thoughts and prayers become empty when they don't follow by actions. So today we are talking about what happens after thoughts and prayers. What action do we need to take? We live in the country that tell us that they care about families and children, yet they have the power to do something about protecting our children, protecting all of the people, and they choose not to do it. So today we're talking about gun violence, gun prevention, healing. And I do understand that this is a heavy topic. So if you choose not to listen to the episode, I understand. But I encourage you to do it. Today on the podcast, I have a mom, a strong woman who did choose to take some actions through the grieving process. Her name is Angel Shabazz. She started an organization here in Denver called DJ Armstrong. Angel, welcome to Moments That Define Us.
Thank you. Welcome for having me. I'm so happy to be here with you.
Thank you. And I'm really, I told you before we started recording the podcast that I was thinking of you for the week coming to today. You were a lot in my thoughts that I was doing research as I was preparing. So I really appreciate you coming here and talking to me and to our listeners about your story, about your defining moments, and so many other things.
Thank you. I was thinking about, it was a heavy week as well, trying to make sure that I was mentally ready and prepared to be here. And when I was getting here, how I wanted to show up and be heard today.
Yeah. I create this space with intention for everybody to come in and tell their story the way they see how they wanted to tell their story. So it is the space for you to tell the story the way you wanted to tell the story. I wanted to start by asking you a question. Mm-hmm. So you lost your son in 2020, so it's been 5 years. His name's Davarie. I want you to tell me about Davarie.
Tell you about Davarie, we'll be here all day. But to start off is, Davarie is my first baby. I had him, got pregnant at 17, had him at 18, so I was a young mom. He was my everything. We grew up together. You know, being so young and having a baby boy, I already knew the vision that I wanted for him. And as he grew up into that vision. He was smart, handsome, funny, athletic, charming, goofy, caring, protective, all of the things. A leader, an advocate. He was definitely a child of God. He had a smile that would take over. He was obviously cocky, confident, all of those. The way that he showed up and the way that he, just was around others, I already knew he was different.
Yeah. He was, just by talking to you and by reading, that he was a proud member of community. So talk to me about him, what he do in the community and for the community.
Yeah, so he's a part of a lot of things, a lot of organization first that helped shape him who he was to be that leader was the Pirates football organization. He has been playing football since he was 5 years old, with the Pirates. And so being able to know that he had to show up as an athlete, he showed up as a leader in the community. So he would be the one that would help young boys with their skills on the football field. He would show up at school by partaking in different groups and stuff that was like leadership. So one year he won Leader of the Year because he was always trying to promote, happiness, promote how you show up as a young man, especially as a friend. Everybody always said like he was just a great friend. So that, he also did community service. So with my previous job, we would have to do community service, and most kids would be like, oh, I have to do this. He would be like, let's go. And then they'll get there and be trying to lead stuff. And he did Comcast Cares with us. He did Excel with us. So he showed up with and in a lot of organizations just as a leader and an advocate. Because of 2020 was the year that he died, that was also the year of George Floyd, who passed away, and us going down there and marching. He sat there and marched. And then when there was a shooting previously here in Denver, he showed up for that too. So he always showed up, and I never had to entice him, he was telling me how and what we was going to do, and I was following suit.
Angel, he sounds like an exceptional man, like an exceptional young man.
Thank you. He was.
And it's just, as a mom to mom, right? We see in each other like that, how proud we are of our kids. Mm-hmm. And it just seems like, and even what you said, I didn't have to, like the community service that you did for your previous work, like you mentioned, he was like, yeah, let's go. He was even telling you, let's go do these things. It's amazing. It's amazing to see kids wanting to be good, striving to be good. Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you. Yes.
So 2020 was a hard year altogether for, I feel like, the whole world, right? There was pandemic that was happening. Then there was the murder of George Floyd, like you mentioned. There was a lot of marches, not just here, but all over the world. But you experience a tragedy that no mother and no human being should experience. So with as much as you can share, tell me, how was that day?
That day was kind of odd anyway. It was me, my ex at the time, his stepdad, and my daughter. Davarie wasn't with us. He was an athlete, so even though it was COVID time, him and some of like the main football players was still working out and doing things. Mm-hmm. So he was still going and waking up every day, getting on the train to do his 2-a-day workouts. And he had just started a job because he was adamant of trying to balance both football, student, and a job. So, 3 things technically. So he didn't come home the day before. He spent the night with his best friend because his best friend had a car. And so they was both doing these things together. So going to 2-a-days, the job, all of the things. So that day he wasn't, I didn't see him.
Okay.
But I did talk to him. And he passed, this was July 11th, and which is 2 weeks before my birthday. And so it was me, my daughter, and my ex, and we was talking about my birthday, and they was talking kind of like funny, like they was hiding something. And I was like, well, what y'all talking funny for? So I was like, Davarie gonna tell me. And so I called Davarie, and he picked up, and I was like, they're acting funny about something, and they're like saying stuff in the background, and he's like, you always asking questions, and he was like, don't worry about it. He was like, we got something. And then I was like, well, where you at? And then he says, I'm in Montbello. And I go, what are you doing in Montbello? 2 days prior, 2 girlfriends of mine had just lost their son and daughter in gun violence in Montbello area. So we have already had the conversation about being there, not at night and stuff. So when I asked him where he's at, and he told me he was in Montbello, I was like, doing what? And he said, I am hanging out. We just got some food. I am hanging out with my friends. I said, you didn't ask me permission to do that. Like, you were supposed to be over at your best friend's, and you were supposed to be getting ready for the next day. And he was like, I know we ain't going to be here long. I'm like, all right. I hang up the phone, and maybe 10 minutes later, I'm strolling on Facebook, and I see that somebody has said there was a shooting in Park Hill. And I instantly just got something fell in my stomach, and to pick the phone up to call him back.
Yeah.
So I go and I try to call him back, and the phone just kept saying, call failed. The number wasn't going through. And the first thing I think of is, because he's in Montbello, they always have bad service out there every time we're out there. So then maybe a minute, 2 later, everything goes by so fast now, I get a call from a number I don't know. So when I pick it up, I hear Mom, and then I hear Miss Angel. And I'm like, yes, but I hear all this commotion in the background. I'm like, what? And he was like, Davarie's been shot. And had my phone, because I picked it up and put it on speaker, and all I remember is my daughter screaming. And I hurried up and picked up the phone and took it off a speaker, and I was like, what happened? And he was like, we was at a party. And I'm like, what? And he was like, we're not waiting for the ambulance. We're going to take him. I was like, take him. You know, I was like, where y'all going? They told me we was going to university. I hung up. We got in the car, and we pulled up at the same time. So they're coming from Montbello. I was coming from Park Hill. We end up making it there at the same time. They take Davarie in. I remember then, because of COVID, they wouldn't let me go in. They wouldn't let nobody come in. By then, the parking lot was full of people who have heard. So when the community started to hear, everybody showed up. But they wouldn't let me in for nothing. So about 45 minutes later, the doctor comes out, and while they're talking, I don't hear kind of nothing he's saying. I'm really just saying, like, you could do this. I was like, please take care of him. And he was like, we're gonna try. I go to walk away. They go back in. I don't know the time difference between when they came back out, but when they came back out, he didn't come back out by himself. He came back out with all the nurses and stuff like that. And as they're walking out, I already knew he was gone. So then at that time, I knew everything, my whole life, especially for me and my daughter, has changed.
Ooh. That's tough to hear those words from the doctor. Like you said, I knew. How did you even pick up yourself and kept going through the grief? How did you keep going?
I always go back to the hospital when I seen my daughter and looked at her and knew that I can't crumble because I still have her. I still gotta be. She's watching me, and when I say she's watching me, I watched her look at me, watch everybody around me. She was right there by me doing everything. So I knew that even though I wanted to, like, give up a lot of times, I couldn't because of her. I also knew who he was and how he showed up. And again, Davarie is very confident, and I could hear him saying, "Mom, don't give up on, don't do that. And everything that we talked about, you have to do." And for me, I felt like not giving up was still being a mom to him. Even though his presence wasn't here, I am still physically doing something and saying his name and creating things and backing up everything he said that he was going to do, and he was going to be a football player and come back and have a community center, come back and give back and do shoes and all of the things that I'm doing now and continuing to do, because that's what he told me he was going to do. So all of those reasons is how. And therapy. I was in therapy. I have a community and a support system that I'm so blessed for, because being in this club that I hate to be in, of mourning mothers, a lot of us don't. And for me to still have my system behind me and my support, and people who 5 years later are still showing up and again speaking on everything that I've been trying to do, is how I grieve and how I try to stay positive for my daughter and for people and other moms, but also trying to make sure that I take care of myself too.
How do you take care of yourself? As a mom, as women, we just natural caregivers, caretakers, right? We take care of everybody. Oftentimes in that midst of caregiving and caretaking of everybody and everything, we lose ourselves and we forget ourselves, right? So I wonder, how do you take care of yourself, of Angel?
Now I guess what I'm saying, I don't know if it's that healthy, but I stay busy, and for me, staying busy and still hanging out with my friends, still, being a mom. And right now, I'm just in this era. I guess they say hit when you get in your 40s. So I'm in this era of just trying to, conquer everything, but still, again, I was a young mom too. Yeah. So coming into this new womanhood of, having, I lost him in my mid-30s. So not knowing who I was for the last 5 years, but I just keep going now that I'm trying to figure it out, and I'm vacationing a little bit more. I'm saying no a lot more, and I'm being super intentional of where I'm at and what energy I'm picking up and giving out.
I love that you say no more, because no is a complete sentence, and a lot of the times we feel like, oh my gosh, if I say no, but we forget about ourselves in saying yes to something. If that doesn't fill a cup, then no need to be participating in anything. But I'm glad you're taking care of yourself, that you vacationing, that you have community around you, because we hear so much community, right?
Yeah.
But true community really does show up.
True community, for sure.
Right? How has the community been showing up for you now and back then?
Back then, a whole lot. That's the impact that I didn't know that he made, is by how the community showed up, because the encounters that they might have had with him. And for me, because I do a lot of community stuff too, but they've just shown up, by just helping me try to create this dream of mine, by helping me keep his legacy alive. They still show up for my daughter. She's not forgot about, So just seeing her, like, what does she need, and how, big sisters, aunties, always showing up. His coaches and stuff are still showing up and helping me keep this thing alive. So I've been able to, again, tell this story and be able to make a difference because of the community.
That's wonderful that you have people around you, not just, your close friends and your family, but everybody still wanted to keep Davarie's Legacy going and helping you, like you said, to create the dream, this organization. But before we get to DJ Armstrong, your foundation that you created, I was wondering if I can ask you a question about forgiveness. So when I was doing research, I was, like I told you, I was reading a lot about different things, and I stumbled on this article about parents from Sandy Hooks, from the elementary school. I think it happened 2016. And they were talking about forgiveness, forgiving the person who did that. So where do you stand on forgiveness?
I am a faithful woman to God first and foremost. So forgiveness has to be there, but I'm going to always be 100% honest.
Yes.
And I'm not 100% there in forgiveness yet.
Mm-hmm.
I pray on that, every day. I pray on me not thinking or wanting to be the judge and the jury.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I'm working on my forgiveness. I don't know when it's going to be 100% or if it will, and if I want it to be.
Yeah.
To be honest, but I also know people do make mistakes. I know the individuals involved were very young, under the age of 18. A couple of them was 15.
Yeah.
And I say a couple because Davarie was shot 7 times by 4 different people, by 4 different guns. So one of them being an automatic gun that was used in, for instance, like Sandy Hooks, like RK. So it's just, hard to just be thinking, especially 5 years later, that I'm just forgiving and I moved on, and because I'm not there.
Yeah, I would imagine that is, I don't know, hard too, because like you said, and it's your journey, it's your space. So wherever you at, I thank you for sharing this, because again, it's been 5 years, right? It's been 5 years, and like you said, who knows where you're going to be in 10 and 20 years. But that's your right and your space to be exactly where you need to be, DJ Armstrong, this wonderful organization that you founded came out of also community, because I remember you telling me when at the balloon release, something happened at balloon release that told you that you need to do something. So talk to me about that balloon release and what happened.
Again, the community, the school, everybody showed up and was like, we want to do a balloon release. I was like, okay, whatever y'all want to do, like, just tell me where to be there. And they're like, we want to do it at South. We're going to do,
at his high school, right?
At South High School that he went to. And I'm like, okay. And when I was like, well, what do I need to do? They was like, just show up.
Mm-hmm.
So my family and us, we pulled up to the South, and it looked like a football game. Like, it was so many people, and I'm like, oh my gosh. And I'm walking up, and the cameras and stuff is there, and I'm just seeing like people walking up telling me how they knew Davarie. They're giving me shirts. They're like, this was his picture. Or I remember one girl was like, this is his. And it was one, she was like, I just borrowed it from him. Like, all of these different things. And I had asked at the school, like, I do want to do the balloon release on the field. And, you know, again, this is during COVID. So they're like, we don't even know if we could have a gathering like that. And I'm like, okay, well, we'll if not, that's fine. And once the school and everybody showed up, it was over, I think they was clocking at 2,500 people there.
Oh, wow.
And we was walking down into the field, and I don't remember who it was, but they tapped me, and it was like, turn around. And I turn around, and to see all of these people and the balloons, and I'm like, this is for Davarie. And there was like 3 or 4 people was like, yes. And it just gave me, even talking about it now, it just gives me chills, because I was like, what? Like, I've been to balloon releases, unfortunately. I've seen it, and I just have never seen anything from my baby, my 17-year-old. And then I was like, again, that's when I was like, too many people showing up and they don't have to. So I gotta continue this and show up.
And I think that is the true power of community, right? Because you said something just now. You said they show up, but they didn't have to. Mm-hmm. It's that, like, it's human to human, it's parent to parent, it's mother to mother, it's all these people. Because even from you telling the story about how Davarie was, how he was a part of how he was a community member, how he was giving to the community, and in return they all show up, all show up for him. So at that time, because you saw how many people show up, right? You saw what kind of beautiful and nice words they were saying about your son. You said, I need to do something. I need to continue going through the grief, through the pain. I need to show up for him now. So talk to me about DJ Armstrong. It's DJ Armstrong Foundation.
Yes.
I have to tell everybody, Angel and her team, they do a lot of events. You can give back, you can volunteer. It's beautiful what this wonderful mother has been doing for her son and for the community. But talk to me about DJ Armstrong. First of all, tell me when you started the organization and kind of what kinds of things you are doing.
So the DJ Armstrong Foundation stands for Davarie Jalan. So that was his full name. And so it started in 2021 when everybody is, again, still around, still helping out. And he had won my brother's keeper 2020 award from Mayor Hancock. And so I was like, I got to keep this stuff going. Again, the mothers that had just lost their kids, I knew them personally. So I got to keep this going by keeping his name alive, but being with moms who know what I'm going through and showing up there. So I created the DJ Armstrong Foundation, where we give out scholarship every year to young scholars in the community that are showing up as leaders and advocates and doing all the great things like he was doing. So with that, I have a Mother's Love, which is my mother's grieving group, where I host meet and greets with moms that are going through the same thing. I partner up with other foundations like Adam's Purpose to help get grieving counseling and resources. I do mediation between mothers, because it can be an instance where you hear one kid pass away that might have had to do with another kid's killing. And so I've done mediations. I show up for moms when it comes to court, because I went to court for 4 years. So there's moms who are going through the same thing, or there's moms who don't get justice at all. So I show up there. I show up with moms when it's time to do the funeral. You never know, or ever in your life would think that you'll be planning your kids' funeral. And my parents are still alive, so I've never had to be on the opposite side of the table. So the first time to do it for my 17-year-old, and thinking about things I would have did different, my siblings, nobody knew what to do. So, and nobody around had been in my position to help me. So now I show up with moms who are going through that process to help just guide them through the things that you never thought you would have to go through, especially when it's time to plan your baby's homegoing. The DJ Foundation I also do a 3-day event that's called Davarie Weekend, that I do the weekend of his birthday, June 9th. And I host a 7-on-7 flag football game for 12 and up. I do a 3-on-3 basketball tournament that's also 12 and up. And then I also partner with Young Life Christian Group, which he was a part of, and we do a 5K walk run, and all the scholarship proceeds go to do 2 things. One, some of the proceeds go to Young Life to partake in the summer camp that he was a part of that he loved. So it helps pay for the tuition of scholars. And then the other proceeds go to give a scholarship to a athlete or a student, male or female, who are doing great things in the community as well.
Okay, so you mentioned the big event you have in June, but what do you have coming up in the next, few months that people, if the people want to participate, they can participate?
Yeah, so in December, I think I already picked the date of December 13th, if I'm not mistaken. I do the DJ Armstrong coat and toy giveaway.
Okay.
And so I partner up with Dependable Cleaners, and they give us used and new and gently used coats. And then I also partner up with Toys for Tots or Toys Marines, whatever it's called now. And I get all these toys. I also do a drive where people come and drop toys off, drop coats off, and then I give them out to the community. So I do a day of that as well. And we have the toys, we have the coats, we have a station where they can wrap the toys if they want, we have a station where they could do a photo booth, we have a hot cocoa station. So showing up and like volunteer, helping get more coats for the community, because I always do it from about 10 to 3 p.m. and at 1 o'clock 1:30, everything's already gone. There's a line up and around the block, so it's always, we don't get to serve everybody. So, and there's a lot of people, especially because these winters, who are looking to, have a new coat or use coats, because we pick through them. So we make sure we get, a coat that you will want to receive from somebody. Yeah.
Right. I'm sure you will be posting that on social media, and on social media you are DJ Armstrong Foundation.
Yes, so DJ Armstrong Foundation on Facebook, DJ Armstrong Foundation on Instagram as well.
Yeah, and I also will be posting like when the episode comes out, and also when you post about the event, and just in general thinking about your organization, because different nonprofit, different foundation, they all need different things, right? So what do you need? Like, where is the need for you right now in general? Is it resources? Is it financial? Is it volunteering? Kind of, where does your organization stand now that the community, again, maybe some of the people that did know your organization exists and now through the podcast they will? What do you need help the most?
Well, especially right now, all of those things actually.
Okay.
Especially as we're growing. And I'm revamping. I'm starting my board over. I'm trying to take this to the next level. So making sure that I am reaching moms and students to a whole nother level. Unfortunately, and I say this unfortunately, this is not going to stop. Mm-hmm. The gun violence is not going to stop. Right now, our community, as we speak, is grieving a 14-year-old that was just killed 2 weeks ago. And so how are we showing up for this mother? So I need these kids I need help with resources on mental health, therapy for these youth, because they need help with it. A lot of my nieces and stuff knew the young boy, and they're going through it. They don't want to go back to school. They're asking, he's another one, if this could happen to Davarie, if this could happen to him, is any of us safe? I need male volunteers to show up and speak to our young men. I need women to show up and show how to lead our girls as well, because that's what we need. Financial help is always a need, especially because I do a lot of stuff for our moms and trying to make sure that our moms have care packages, make sure that a mom is eating after she's hearing something tragic, making sure that a mom is not, who doesn't have the support, then have the support in my organization and in me to show up for her if she doesn't have family, to do follow-up, because they say once the casket closed, then everybody leaves. Mm-hmm. And then you're there by yourself. And being in the position that I am, I see it, and I talk to these women and men, parents, who just in general, every day.
I wanted to ask you a question on just gun control in general in our country. Because, as I mentioned at the beginning, things happen, and like you mentioned, unfortunately, this is not going to stop, because it doesn't seem like the people in power who really can make a huge impact don't want to do it. I don't see this is happening. But what would you like to see happen in the country? What kind of gun safety, gun prevention, gun laws would you like to see in US so we can stop this and not traumatize our children?
That's hard to say as a whole of what kind, but of course, if I could have it my way, ideally, more consequences for when you don't have a gun that belongs to yours, or if it's stolen, or if it's not registered, or if you're underage. So what is those consequences looking like? Laws around how many guns and what kind of guns that you are be able to have access to. I don't understand, maybe because I'm not, never even thought about all these different guns until my situation, but I never would think that anybody, let alone a 15-year-old, but anybody should have a rifle gun like that, an AR-15, an automatic weapon. Why would anybody possess that if you're not in the military? So I think that having access to be able to get any type of gun like that, without extensive background, mental health, the why. I don't know if that falls in our amendments, but if it was the control or some type of laws, that's what I would definitely think it should look like.
I agree with you. I know a lot of people who own guns, but they are still say, no, we need to have gun laws. To your point, why would some Bobby or Mary that just, has a normal job to do whatever, not in the military of any kind of way, would have this type of weapon?
Right.
Right there. You're right. I absolutely agree. There has to be law that if you don't need that, then why do you need to buy it? But it becomes this conversation that really making me so angry that no matter what you say, it's like, oh my gosh, they're going to take away our guns. Nobody's talking about that. Keep your gun, but make sure that it's locked.
Right. Make
sure you know how to use it correctly. Make sure that your kids don't have the access to it, or anybody for that matter, right? And that's background check, right? Yep. Let's do that.
Or just consequences again. So speaking of what I also do, I do teach and give facilitation for women on how to handle guns, how to have them safe. So the Denver Police Department partnered up with me, and they gave me a whole bunch of gun locks. So I did a class on getting women registered, because I am a gun owner, but also being a responsible gun owner. Why? Because I say that falls back to Davarie. Some of the guns that we used for Davarie, they were stolen from a family member because they wasn't properly put away. They wasn't properly locked up. So that could also just be just not knowing. So I do a class with moms on how to properly handle a gun, what guns you should be having, how to make sure that they're locked safely. We have had accidental shootings too, where a kid have picked up a gun and shot themselves because a gun wasn't properly put up or wasn't, just mishandled anyways. So all of those things, just go back to it has to be a change and consequences.
Do you have hope that change is coming?
Oh yeah,
you do.
Yeah, I will. Again, I will hope so. But yeah. I pray on that. I would definitely pray on it.
Mm-hmm. I hope so too. My daughter recently told me, Mom, we're gonna have a active shooter. I think it's a lockdown drill that they have at school. And it breaks my heart because my husband is a teacher, and both of my kids are at the same school as my husband, right? So, and she's like, and I was like, okay, honey, it's a practice. Make sure you listen to your teacher. Make sure you do whatever the teacher or whoever is there tells you to do. And she goes, Mom, I'm scared of that. Because she said, sometimes the kids in my class, they don't pay attention. They don't listen. They think it's funny. But I'm scared. And I said, why are you scared? She said, because I think, what if it happens for real? Like, that's the trauma we willingly put on our kids. Yep. Because we would rather do active shooter drill. We would rather say, give teacher guns. We would rather do anything but to put guns in law so our kids can go to school and be safe there. Because like you said, some of your nieces, recently the teenager was shot, right? They're afraid to go to school. School should be fun. Yep. There should be learning, there should be passing notes because somebody likes somebody. There should be all of that experience, and not experience thinking, is there gonna be a shooter in my school?
Right.
Am I gonna lose my friend at school? And it's just like, I don't know. I in my brain, I can't understand why it's so simple. Let's do this laws, right?
It's the again. It's just the why do we have access to these type of guns? And that's a problem. And I feel like without this, of course, we can't just take guns away, but just the access to certain guns that nobody should have unless you are hunting, maybe in military, but why would you have that at home?
Yeah.
So and again, they, like you said, they do get sold on black market. They get passed around from one person to another. So the access is just too easy.
It is.
You could get a gun quicker than you could get a pair of tennis shoes. Limited edition is probably easier for you to be able to get a semi-automatic weapon before you could get the brand new latest tennis shoes out, and they cost cheaper.
Do you have dreams about Davarie? Does he show up in your dreams, or in any sort of other way? And I don't know if you believe in that, but a lot of people say, like whoever the loved one that they lost, right? They say, I randomly saw, I don't know, whatever that they like, right? I was wondering, how does your son show up for you?
A lot of the time, I have dreams, not that many, or I don't remember. For a while, I didn't want to. I didn't want to dream about him. So I would. I mean, that's where those sleepless nights come in. Yeah. That nobody knows about. So. For a minute, I didn't want to dream him. And then I remember one, and I still remember, that's how it was like the very kind of first one, is when I moved into my new house and I was buying stuff, and I remember him coming into my dream, and his face was just so clear. He was telling me that he likes this and he likes that, why I have a room dedicated just for him. And I knew I had made the right choice, the right house, because of his dream. Moving forward, they have been very far and few, that I have. Some I still wake up because I don't know if I want to have it, or it just comes and I let it happen. But a lot of his conversations, them ride homes in the car, and a song will come on or something will happen, and I'll be like, oh, and I could like hear his voice still clear. Sometimes it will be at home, and I will bring up something, and then I will see it on my phone, and it has something to reference him, because there's been times where I would send him reels on Instagram, subliminal stuff that I want him to do, and I'll come across it, and I'll be like, do I want to send it? And sometimes I'll still send it to his inbox. So it'll be little things like that that I can feel his spirit around. Again, it's the voice, his voice, I still can hear real, very clear. And I have videos and stuff too, but his language, the way that he spoke, I could hear. So those are the things that I hear in the back of my head but I know his spirit is still around.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing your story, your thoughts and everything. And also, thank you for having the courage to do what you do. Because I can't imagine what it is like to lose your child and then have the strength to keep moving forward. But you do that, and you do that in a very beautiful way. You do that by remembering Davarie through the DJ Armstrong Foundation. You do so much for other people, for moms who are going through the same thing. You showing up, and like you said, you do everything with intention. And I thank you so much for coming and sitting with me, talking to me about this. I told you I was nervous. I had a certain feeling, but you have such a presence about you that the minute we started talking, I knew we both were in a good space together.
Yes, for
and
sure.
I hope you felt the same.
For sure. Thank you. I appreciate being heard. I appreciate somebody wanting to hear, and hoping that this resonates with somebody who, I hate to say that, who's going through this, because I don't wish this on nobody.
Of course. This
is a feeling that nobody, in any shape of how you lost your child, but especially from gun violence. So to be heard and being able to express what, as a parent, we are going through, because a lot of us get forgotten about, like you said earlier. We get the prayers and stuff, and then nobody else speaks about it again. So being able to have that space, because when I speak, it's not just for me, it's for the moms that might not have the courage, but want to be in the space to talk about the changes that they want to see happen, the justice that they did or did not receive, and to be not forgot about.
Yeah. And I think that's so important when you lose somebody, to not be forgotten about, because after the casket closes, like you said, everybody leaves. The casseroles will run out. The phone calls will get far and few in between, But so that's why I think what you're doing is exceptional, because you're seeing those moms, those parents, and you show up for them. And because you're showing such an incredible example, people follow. So from the bottom of my heart, I thank you so much for having this conversation with me.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone. I know the conversation is tough, but the conversation is important to have. But I want to encourage you to not only have the conversation, but have actions. Go on djarmstrongfoundation.org. There's all of the different things you can do. I encourage you to donate. I encourage you to volunteer, follow this organization on social media, because then you will know when events are coming up, what Angel and her team needs. And let's be kind to one another. And remember, it's always the right time to speak up for what is right and to be loud, because that's how we make change. Thank you so much, everyone. I see you next time.